Welcome to Unruly 3, father of 3 unruly kids.
I'm not really.
So I don't exactly remember the year, but I remember my brother coming home for Christmas one time, and he had this crazy machine that he hooked up to our TV, and we started playing Atari. And I remember not wanting to go to sleep because it was the funnest thing. And one of the games he had was Space Invaders. So I thought I'd make a bowl. So I went into my neighbor's backyard and cut down this holly tree. It wasn't too big, but and there were a lot of knots, so I cut down for the edges and I ran it through the planer to try to straighten it up. Then I took it over and I just trimmed off tried to kind of clear off some of these knots a little bit. This holly had a lot of knots in it. And then a whole lot of cutting these little strips. So this is walnut, and I did a whole lot of cutting these strips, like a lot of cutting strips. I might be one of the best strip cutters of all time now. And then I ran the holly through doing the same thing, cutting just these thin little strips. I think they're about a quarter inch. Actually, I know they are a quarter inch thick strips by about almost an inch thick. Then I flip them sideways and I cut them through again, getting a quarter inch by quarter inch square strip of wood. And then running the holly through. It was a lot of these, almost 700 pieces. Not of these, but this bowl, when it's all the way done, has almost 700 pieces total. And this was by far the most adventurous bowl that I've ever tried, considering I've only made 4 successful bowls. Well, 3 successful and 1 complete failure. Then I cut these into these small little tiny pieces. These are about 2 inches long. And then after I cut these all going down, I am using that board to hold them down so my fingers don't get too close to the blade. And then it was a whole lot of this. Putting these slowly together, adding some glue, and building up my design. Putting glue on the top, and then adding a whole bunch of more new pieces. So I had to make a total of 8 of these. I made 8 different shapes. So it's just kind of an example of one of them getting built, and then it will change over and kind of show you maybe a different one too. But yeah, this took a long time. Then I would clamp the sides, squeeze them together, and then push down on a board on the top to try to get them level again on the top. All right, then I needed a base, so I'm going to use this beautiful piece of walnut that I got. And then in between the walnut, I'm going to put just a piece of veneer, just to make a little bit of a design, kind of. I want to say that the veneer is oak. I'm pretty sure it is, but I wasn't 100% sure. But if I was going to bet, I would bet on oak. And then a whole ton of clamps and put this on there. This is going to be my base. Then I go ahead and drew a big circle on it and cut the base into a circle just so it's a lot easier to turn. And you can see that strip inside of there. Then after I get that all done, I take it over, use a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit, and then I can connect that to my chuck on my wood lathe. And then with that pretty round, I just take my chisel and I just kind of totally rounded up. Now I need to make my pieces for the rest of the bowl. Again, I'm back to that holly, and I'm cutting a little bit thicker inch pieces here. This is, I want to say they're 1 3/4 inch strips. So I have a bunch of holly, and then I'm using my piece from Rockler to find the right angles. Then I tighten it up, and then I can put this backer on here, an extension kind of just to make my fence a little bit longer. And then I can start cutting these pieces. Each ring is going to have 8 pieces. And every now and then I have to cut off a small little chunk or something because there's a knot in the board. But I'm just trying to get around the knots as much as I can. So those 8 pieces together, then I can make my one of my rings. And then I use that round piece. I got a rubber band already on at the base piece, and I can push that down hard, pull the rubber band down on around it, and this made things go quite a bit smoother. So here's my second ring. Oh, I actually think I forgot to record the third, putting the rubber band on the third one. But second ring, I even used 2 rubber bands on this one just to make sure we got a good fit, good for lamping. Then I have my, oh, here's the third one. Look at me, I got it all. All right, and then my walnut piece. I used 2 rubber bands on this one as well. And then I'm going to start putting together my Space Invaders pieces. So it's one piece of the Space Invaders chunk, and then I have these 2 pieces that go together that are making the angles. So each one of these Space Invader pieces were at least 8 by 10, and then also these other pieces that are in there. And then opposite, I want to have, so as the Space Invaders move across the screen, they go from one shape to the next shape, then back and forth. So straight across is going to be the opposite shape for it. So the one, yeah, I think that's kind of how it's supposed to go. Now you notice that the top isn't totally flat, so I'm just kind of more focused on the bottom. Then I use my trick with this piece again. I put 3 rubber bands on this one. Push it down hard and then bring the rubber band down nice and low for that ring. And then put the other rubber bands on. Just make sure it's nice and lined up so that it dries up right. Alright, now I'm going to put the rings on. So I take my base, and then I don't want the lines to line up, so the joints to be in the middle of the other piece. Kind of gives it a little bit more strength. And then the top piece, I had to try to line that up so the line is, oh, there, I had it all backwards. And then for Father's Day, I got this really cool Raycon set, so I'm going to try some of these tools for the first time. Alright, so I took the bowl over and I squared off the top so that I could put my last ring onto the bowl. Now here, I kind of wish I would have put one more ring of the holly and then put the walnut on the very top. And I think it would have set it off just a little bit more. But I still really, really do like this bowl a lot. Right, so here I'm going to start doing on the inside. I'm using my new Raycon um, pieces here, and I like them a lot. They did well what they're supposed to do. So this is my first time kind of using these type of tools. I like that it's nice and long. I do have other ones, I guess, but they were more for the pin carving ones, and they were super short. It's kind of scary putting the pin carving ones inside of these bowls, or having this nice long one sure made it a big, huge difference. So here I tried something new. I actually used my sander to try to get this, get rid of all this tear out that I had. I had a lot of tear out because I was doing some end grain on this. Usually with segmented bowls, it's not end grain, so it carves really, really well, but there was a lot of tear out because all those segmented pieces were all end grain, so some of them tore out really bad. So I really had to sand a lot on this to get it all the way down. And then for my finish, I went back to my favorite, the deft clearwood finish. And I put about 4 coats of this on there, and then I use a paper bag and I rub it all off like that to get rid of all the little tiny burrs and everything. And then I put on probably another 3 coats, and then I did the same thing with the paper bag. Ended up coming out looking really, really good. So overall, I'm super happy with this bowl. The only thing I kind of would have changed, like I said, is add one more layer of holly on the top, or maybe 2 layers of holly, then the Space Invaders guys, then a layer of holly. So would have been a little bit different, but yeah. Then on the bottom, I went ahead and put in my little brand Unruly 3 there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want, you could give me a subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks again.